Hey guys, it's Lego Coleman Trevor. Welcome to the first questions for Coleman video where I answer your questions that you put in the comments. So if you want me to answer your question on the next episode of Questions for Coleman, just put it in the comments and I'll answer it. So the first question we have is from Lego Junkie. He says, if you could have one set from Star Wars, what would it be? And if you have one set from Marvel, what would it be? And I would say the most wanted set that I have for Star Wars right now would probably be the Death Star. I've always wanted it, but it's so expensive I've never really been able to afford it. And then the same goes for Marvel with the Helicarrier. It's another really expensive set, like $500 or something. So those would probably be my two most wanted sets from Marvel and Star Wars that are just too expensive for me. Next question comes from JS Bricks Crew. He says, what's your opinion on Lego Friends? And obviously, I mean, I don't collect it, but I think it's a fine theme for mostly girls, I would imagine, but anyone who likes the mini dolls and all that kind of Lego style. And some of the sets actually do look pretty good, but I personally probably wouldn't ever own any, but I might buy one for like my little sisters or something. We have another question from Lego Junkie. He says, what is your Holy Grail Lego set? Honestly, it's probably the same answer as the first question. Probably Death Star. It's just always been a set that I've always wanted since I was a kid. But again, it's always been super expensive, so maybe if I find a really good deal on one, but other than that, I don't think I'll ever have it. Maybe if I'm an adult and have a lot of adult money to spend, but like once I get like an actual job, like a lawyer or something, then I probably would be able to afford it, but until then, still holding that hope to get my Holy Grail, probably Death Star. Our next question is from Darth Edward. He says, what's your opinion about the Lego prices going up or down? And in my opinion, obviously it's not the best to have Lego sets costing more now, but it just makes it so you really want to try to get good deals on these sets instead of buying them at their retail value, because you can still get pretty good deals on these sets if you get them at 20, 30, 40% off, or if you find them for a pretty good deal on like Facebook Marketplace or eBay. That's the best way to get these Lego sets for good prices. Next question is from Soka Ka. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but he says, or she says, how long did this take you? I'm gonna imagine that question means like, how long did my collection take me? And I've been collecting for about maybe 10 years, somewhere around that range. I've been collecting since I was a kid, but I never really like collected and displayed them like I am now. I always just kind of got them as gifts or bought them with birthday money, and I've just kind of been building up my Lego sets over the years, and probably within the last year or two, I've started really going like hog wild buying all these sets. So I'd say realistically it's been more like 2 years of like actual collecting. Before that I probably had maybe a fourth of these sets that I have now. So I'd say I've probably within the last like 2 years I've bought 75% of the sets that I have now. Our next question is from Lion Kaplan 654, and he says, what is better set, Palpatine's Arrest or the Rebel Combat Frigate? And I don't have either of these sets, but if I could have one of them, I would probably choose Palpatine's Arrest just because it's such an iconic scene, and it's from my favorite movie, Revenge of the Sith. And the Rebel Combat Frigate, it is a really good set, but the major reason I would want it is just for the Ahsoka. So if we're just talking about like the set itself and not like how expensive the minifigures are, then I would probably choose Palpatine's Arrest. Next, we have a question from Maestro0019, and he says, what set would you keep if you could only keep one? For me, right now, it would probably be the UCS gunship, as you can see right here. Just because as a kid, I always wanted a gunship, and this isn't the same one I wanted as a kid because I wanted those play scale models, but I think it's even cooler to have a UCS one since it's so big. It's really like the centerpiece of my collection. It just pops out, and I love the UCS plaques and all that. So that would probably be my number one option to keep. Next up, we have a question from Laundry. He says, do you think Captain Rex will be in the new Swamp Speeder? So for those who don't know, we're getting a new set. It's going to be a Swamp Speeder, similar to the one we had a few years back. And people are wondering what's going to be in the set, what's it going to be based off of. So some people are hoping, like this guy, if we can get a Captain Rex in there, I think that would be great to get him cheap and accessible for those who don't have him, since he's pretty expensive on the secondhand market now. But in my opinion, I think it would make more sense, and I would prefer if they would come out with a Commander Bly in there. Kind of like a Felucia base set with like Commander Bly Sakura, and maybe some other 327th clones. And I think the reason for that is that they already have the visor piece that comes out of the head of the helmet to like help them see. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but maybe it's just like a rangefinder. And that's like the piece that Bly uses, so I think that would be the perfect opportunity to make a Commander Bly, since we haven't got him yet, and they have that piece in like production right now. And our last question comes from Lego Junkie again, and he says, pretty obvious, but what do you think Lego Star Wars could be doing better as a whole? And in my opinion, I think what they could be doing better is giving us more figures and sets. Like in the helmet sets, I really think we should be getting one minifigure with them, the minifigure for the helmet. Because like in my display, I have the minifigures next to the helmet. I just think it works really well, and that would incentivize people to buy those sets when I feel like they're pretty, I mean, a lot of people buy them, but it could definitely increase the sales of those if they included a minifigure with them. And that would be a pretty cool way to get some of these more obscure minifigures like Commander Cody and Captain Rex in more affordable sets. And other than that, I would say just with their prices, the Lego Star Wars is generally the most expensive out of all the different themes. Like for piece count and build and what you're actually getting, it costs a lot more than the other themes, so I think if they could work on that, that would be great. And lastly, I would say they just need to listen to fans more. Like, we have a lot of sets that we really want, like another Death Star, a UCS Venator. There's just a lot, a Republic gunship, like that one, instead of a UCS, like a play scale. There's a lot of sets that the community wants that Lego's just not listening to, so I think that would be a pretty good starting point to make Lego Star Wars better, is to just listen to the community more, see what they want. Anyways, that's it. That's all the questions we have for this episode, so leave questions down below if you want me to answer your question in the next episode. And I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I enjoyed making it. It's fun to answer your questions, so see you in the next one.